Good afternoon. This is a special coverage of the coronavirus crisis using the combined forces of News 5 and Signal TV's 1 News, Radyo 5 and 1PH. Sang-ayon ang maraming senador na nararapat lang ang desisyon ng gobyerno na palawigin pa ng 2 linggo ang enhanced community quarantine sa buong Luzon. Pero sana raw ay handa rin ng gobyerno na magbigay ng ayuda sa lahat ng maaapektuhan nito. Para sa detalye, nagbabalita live si Mean Los Baños. Mean.
Yes, Chester, pabor nga ang maraming senador doon sa desisyon ni Pangulong Duterte na i-extend pa itong enhanced community quarantine sa buong Luzon. Pero ang gusto lang daw masiguro ng mga mambabatas ay kayang ibigay ng gobyernong pangailangan ng publiko, lalo pat ang apektado daw sa ngayon hindi na lamang may hirap kundi pati na ang middle class. Isa sa mga pumabor sa 2 weeks extension ng ECQ si Senate Minority Leader Franklin Drilon. Sa kabila nito, naniniwala siya na panahon ng pag-aralan muli ng pamahalaan ang tamang paglalaan sa pondo ng gobyerno. Tingin niya kasi na posibleng kulangin sa pondo ang gobyerno hanggat hindi pa nasusolusyonan ang krisis sa COVID-19. Sabi ni Drilon, baka pwedeng i-realign na lang muna ang budget sa amelioration programs. Gaya na lamang daw ng bilyon-bilyong pisong nakalaan sa mga bridge at road construction ng DPWH. Kung hindi naman na raw kayang ipatupad lahat ng proyektong ito, baka pwede raw gamitin muna ang ilang pondo para sa pagresponde sa krisis. Tanong pa nga ni Drilon kung ang gobyerno hirap maghanap ng pera sa panahon ngayon, paano pa raw bang ordinaryong Pilipino, ang mga nawalan ng trabaho, ang maliliit na namumuhunan at mga nawalan ng negosyo. Para naman kay Senador Ping Lacson, mahirap talagang desisyonan ang patuloy na pagtugon sa problema ng COVID-19 at ang epekto nito sa ating ekonomiya dahil na rin sa pagsasara ng maraming establishmento. Kaya dapat lang daw na health at economic cluster ng gobyerno ang magdesisyon kaugnay nito. Bagamat sila naman daw sa Kongreso, tuloy pa rin sa trabaho, pagre-research at pagre-rekomenda sa ehekutibo kung paano susulong ang bansa mula rito. Para kay Lacson, higit sa issue ng pondo, mas problema ngayon ang distribution ng amelioration funds para makatulong sa mas maraming mahihirap na pamilya na apektuhan ng lockdown. Senate President Tito Soto naniniwalang reasonable rin ang pagpapalawig sa ECQ. Ang dahilan niya, wala pa naman daw kasing malinaw na projection ang DOH kaugnay sa kaso ng COVID-19 sa bansa. Ika nga ni Soto, better safe than sorry. Welcome din para kay Senador Joel Villanueva ang pag-extend ng ECQ sa Luzon. Malinaw daw kasi na ang lahat ng sakripisyo natin sa nakaraang buwan mababaliwala kung aalisin agad ang lockdown, lalo't ang trend sa ngayon, mas dadami pa ang kaso ng COVID-19 sa mga susunod na araw. Jester, para sa ilang senador gaya ni Senator Tolentino, dapat suportahan itong pag-extend ng ECQ sa buong Luzon. Pero dapat din daw ngayon pa lang ay maghanda na ang gobyerno ng Economic Recovery Program. Hindi raw pwede kasing pabayaan ang ating ekonomiya habang sinusubok natin ang problema sa COVID-19. Jester?
Okay, medyo may balancing act yung lawmakers. Isang pahabol na tanong lang, Mean, ano yung nakikitang solusyon ng Senado dito sa sinasabing kalituhan sa pamimigay ng ayuda sa ating mga mahihirap na kababayan? Magkaiba raw kasi lumalabas yung listahan ng LGUs at DSWD.
Tama ka, nag-aalala yung mga senador dyan sa pagkakaiba ng listahan na yan na into the 4th week ng lockdown, marami pa rin daw mga kababayan natin hindi nakakatanggap nitong ayuda na to. Kaya ang lumulutang na solusyon galing kay Senate President Tito Soto ay yung National ID System. Sabi niya, apurahin dapat ng Malacanang yung pagpapatupad ng National ID System para magkaroon ng solid na database at magkaroon ng malinis at organized na listahan kung sino-sino ba ang dapat makatanggap nitong ayuda na ito. Sabi ni Senate President Soto, posible raw kasi na magbigay ng ayuda o kailanganin yung ayuda hindi lamang sa loob ng 2 buwan, pwede daw maging 3 buwan pa yan. Kailangan daw ngayon pa lang maging organized na yung listahan ng mga benepisyaryong yan. Chester?
Okay, maraming salamat, Mean Los Baños. The Philippine Arena adds to the list of makeshift quarantine sites for possible COVID-19 carriers, says National Task Force COVID-19 Chief Implementer Carlito Galvez. In an interview with One News's Agenda, Galvez says the government is eyeing the Philippine Arena to house PUIs and PUMs from Camanaba, Quezon City, and Manila. The chief implementer adds they are also in talks about converting sports facilities and state universities in Visayas and Mindanao into quarantine sites. He adds that LGUs have so far designated 560 quarantine sites nationwide.
Kailangan po talaga tayo, well prepared po tayo sa worst case scenario. So yung Philippine Arena po, yun po ay dedicated natin para sa area ng northern Manila at saka yung Quezon City. Nakita natin na Quezon City po ay badly hit. So nakikita natin kung just in case na hindi po makaya ng Quezon Institute, pwede nating ilipat po yung mga mild cases dito po sa Philippine Arena at pati po ang Region 3 kasi ang Region 3 po pangatlo po sa buong region, pinakamataas po ang COVID affectation. So yung Kamanaba plus Quezon City plus Region 3 can use this Philippine Arena just in case na magkaroon ng tinatawag nating overflowing ng mga cases pagka nagkaroon na po tayo ng massive testing sa mga PUIs at saka mga PUMs.
Baguio City has reported no new cases of COVID-19 for 3 straight days. The confirmed cases remain at 14 based on the records of the health department. Recovered patients have also increased to 7. Baguio General Hospital and Medical Center Chief Dr. Ricardo Nunez believes that more patients will recover in the coming days. Baguio City Mayor Benjamin Magalong, on the other hand, said in a Monday interview with Wagpo of 1PH that Baguio has reached its peak and is now on its second week of flattening the curve.
Ang nangyari kasi sa Baguio is nagkasunod-sunod na tumataas yung aming positive cases. At ang nangyari nun is habang tumataas yung positive cases namin, tumadami rin yung aming PUIs at yung mga PUMs. Pero for the past, siguro nakita nyo sa FB na yung sinabi niya na 5 days na nag-flatten. In fact, today, this is our 9th day na nag-flatten kami. But technically, 12 days na kami nag-flatten.
Punta naman tayo sa isa pang good news mga kapatid. Ibinahagi ng University of Cebu Medical Center ang kwento ng isang 70-year-old COVID-19 patient na gumaling sa sakit. Ikinatuwa ng netizens ang paggaling ng lalaki na mayroong pre-existing conditions. Umabot ng 17 araw ang pakikipaglaban ng pasyente sa COVID-19 bago siya magnegatibo at makarecover sa sakit. Sinalubong ng kanyang anak ang virtual high five ang pasyente sa ICU. All out din ng health workers sa pag-cheer sa COVID-19 survivor. We'll continue the discussion over at One News, 1PH and Radyo 5. For now, that's the latest on the COVID-19 pandemic. For News 5, I'm Jess De Los Santos. We are One News.
Good afternoon, I'm Danny Laurel reporting to you on the markets and the economy live from my home in Muntinlupa. The headlines and what you guys need to know this afternoon. First of all, February exports rose lower than analysts had expected. Meanwhile, imports naman ay nag-contract ng double digits. Yung March inflation figures na ibinahagi namin kahapon has now led economists to say that the BSP or the Bangko Sentral now has more policy space to start cutting or easing interest rates even further. Philippine 2020 estimated growth na naman has been downgraded. You've got JP Morgan now cutting its forecast to 0.9% growth. Meanwhile, Moody's still a bit more optimistic, seeing 2.5% growth this year. You've got ICTSI's Enrique Razon speaking to Bloomberg TV's Haslinda Amin, saying that he's writing off 2020 amid all of these issues and challenges. And to add to the woes, guys, markets closing lower ahead of our Holy Week break. We pared back down from the gains of the week. We closed in at 5510.83. That is a loss of 2.5%. So let's kick off with the economic front. You're going to be seeing on your screens here, let's say, a surprising figures from the trade that came in on February. Now, recall that this is ahead, let's say, of all of the coronavirus issues na nangyari. Pero, yung nangyari ay exports ay tumaas, but only by 2.8%. Whereas, the estimate or yung what analysts had expected was that we would actually be growing our exports in February by 3.5%. So we are still above 5.4 billion pesos worth of exports, but still this growth was slower than analysts had hoped for. The imports, however, and this is very interesting, down by 11.6% to just over $7 billion. Now, the estimate was that the imports would be growing by 1%, especially since, the government has tried to, they've approved the budget. We have a double budget operating. They're trying to catch up dun sa build at infra spend. So a lot of imports sana. But as it happens, we've seen the biggest drop since April 2012 of imports. And that brings us a trade deficit of $1.66 billion in February. The estimate was a deficit of $2.83 billion. So the deficit is actually the smallest we've seen in 2 years. So again, still a deficit, but much narrower than was expected. 54.2% of all exports were electronics, and that still rose by 3.4%. Moving on now, we did break the inflation figures kahapon, so yung pagtaas ng presyo ng bilihin, and that came at 2.5% in the month of March, which was still higher than what analysts were expecting at 2.3%, but well within the target range naman of the Bangko Sentral. Now, why the higher print? This according to Nicky Mapa, his senior economist at ING. Sabi niya that not all of the food items were actually frozen in terms of prices. So, merong mga ibang food na hindi kasama dun sa basic necessity basket at yung mga presyo noon tumaas pa rin. And he did mention that this happened actually even before the enhanced community quarantine. People started buying. And he also warns against a possible increase pa rin in prices, especially as supply chains get disrupted ngayon. So, mas mahirap na kumuha ng bilihin and maybe the demand would be higher. But still, they're saying that it will nevertheless remain within target. You've got JP Morgan's Nur Raisa Rasid. He says that the inflation is likely to average 2.1% year-on-year this year. And you've got Sun Life's Patrick Ella saying the full impact of this price freeze has not yet been felt. So we might be seeing that felt on April pa. And that echoes the sentiments of BSP Governor Ben Diokno, saying that we might be seeing the prices of increases, the rate of the price increases slowing down further on. Now, Security Bank's Dan Rosses is saying that this result gives the Bangko Sentral even more room to cut rates. Recall that Central Bank Governor Ben Diokno had said that he's open to even cutting the rates ahead of the cycle. And speaking of cutting rates, this just in from my Bloomberg terminal, they've cut now, the Bangko Sentral has now cut the minimum liquidity ratio for the smaller banks. Now that's 16% of what they need to keep instead of 20%. So that's a 400 basis point cut to allow the smaller banks to also have increased liquidity. Now, moving on to some growth figures, and I guess more growth downgrades pa rin. The latest one being JP Morgan, saying that we might just see less than 1% growth this year. That's from 2.1% that they had said from last week. And this, of course, after the quarantine has now been extended until April 30. Now, because of this, just 2 weeks extension, we've actually eaten our growth even further. And they do mention that the discretionary household spending would be materially impacted. So, apart from just spending on normal goods, people might stop spending on other let's say, essential goods. But they do mention that inflation is expected to remain benign. They're also seeing more policy rate cuts. So, 2 rate cuts on May 21, which is the next central bank policy meeting, of 25 basis points, and on June 25. So, we might be seeing the policy rate at 2.75%, the benchmark interest rate, by the end of the year. So a lot of analysts seeing this sort of trend of easing. Now, Moody's, on the other hand, is still seeing 2.5% growth, and that seems to be, more and more positive, especially as we've seen downgrades that say that the Philippines might even be contracting this year. But they're also warning against a higher debt burden that might be coming in, and they're saying that ang debt natin, ang utang ng Pilipinas, might rise to around 44% of GDP within the next few years. So warning against that in order to buoy our economy, we might be tapping into debt. Recall that Finance Secretary Sonny Dominguez did mention that They're open to getting more debt in order to help us sustain, our economy moving forward. Now, just a quick peek on peso transactions. I was talking a lot about exports, and these transactions using our local currency have also started to dwindle. With the transactions related to peso in this past month, at least until mid-March, have now dwindled to just 1/3 of all peso-related transactions. Now, let's move on to markets as I open my terminal for you. Unfortunately, I'm not ending this week on a high note. Recall that yesterday we had the second straight day of gains. We closed above 5,600. We've pared back those gains. We are now trading significantly lower than that, so 5,500 levels here. And across the board, you're going to be seeing most sectors in the red. So properties heavily sold off, down by 5%. Financials down by 3 4/10%. The only bright spot here was industrials, which was in the green, up by 0.5%. And again, this follows 17 straight days of net foreign selling. We saw that na naman kahapon. A lot of foreigners still in risk-off mode and going to safer havens. Now, I spoke about properties, and I just wanted to, show on your screens here the biggest property players, because these are also our biggest movers today, and I guess the biggest laggards as well. Now, this from Colliers on properties, and we've been watching this space quite a lot. They say that the empty Manila offices are seen to be increasing as the virus starts to hit the smaller firms. I just want to say that my terminal is logging off at the moment, but nevertheless, just to make that clear, that the property space is now at risk. And this, according to Colliers, the smallest businesses are actually 15% ng lahat ng tenants ng office spaces. And that's around 12 million square meters, at least in Metro Manila. And apart from that, you've also got the POGO slowdown. So this might actually impact the vacancy rates in the office spaces. Colliers now adjusting its projected office stock for 2020 downwards by 20%. So 20% decrease in movement, and not just in the tenancy rate, but also in the fact that less construction will be happening. Another one that's not too happy on the property space, you've got COL Financials, April Litan. She had mentioned that these are sectors, apart from properties, banks as well, vulnerable to the damage of the coronavirus pandemic. So that is a very strong statements here from April Litan. Another one that's also, not doing so well as of today, that is the Razon stocks. You've got ICTSI also in the red today, as well as Bloomberry. And he had an interview with Haslinda Amin and Bloomberg TV, and he said there that they operate 20 different ports, not just in the Philippines, but 20 countries have these ports, and the operations or the volumes fell by 10 to 15% just last month and are expected to decline even further in April. He also mentioned the casinos of Bloomberry have closed and shut down, at least in Luzon, but he does say that they have a healthy amount of cash. There's not really any concerns there. And you can see on your screens here how ICTSI did perform, as I mentioned, apart from just the Bloomberry and the ICTSI, you've actually also got Manila Water, which they also own. Bloomberry, you'll see on your screens, down by 3 7/10% today. ICTSI down by 1 7/10%. And finally, just last bit of news, you've got PAL and Cebu Pacific extending flight cancellations until April 30. PAL trading rather flat here. Cebu Pacific down a touch. Cebu Pacific has been sold off close to 50%, around 46% down year to date. PAL double-digit losses as well, not as bad as Cebu Pacific, but still much more challenges in this space, especially with the extended, let's say, enhanced community quarantine now impacting all of the flights of our local flag carriers until the end of the month. And that's a look into the business day. Today is April 8, 2020, a Wednesday. Recall that we have no trading for the rest of the week, so try and have a restful Semana Santa. Stay healthy. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Danny Laurel, and we are One News.